Hey everyone, today we're diving into something really cool. A totally new blueprint for teaching robotics and AI. It's a method designed to flip the script, to turn students from just passive listeners into active creators. And honestly, it might just change how we think about education itself.
So this is the big question, right? How do we actually build the builders of tomorrow's robots? I mean, robotics is evolving at this insane speed, but a lot of our teaching methods are kind of stuck in the past. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we really give the next generation the tools they need to build the intelligent machines of the future?
And that brings us to what's being called the robotics education gap. The problem is pretty simple when you think about it. You can't learn robotics from the sidelines. It's a hands-on field, and it demands that you're actively solving problems in the real world.
And this really gets to the absolute heart of the issue. You can't truly learn robotics from a textbook. No way. The real magic, the real learning, that happens when you switch from just reading about theory to actually building, testing, and bringing your ideas to life. So what's the solution then? Well, it's a brand new learning blueprint. The best way to think about it is like a recipe for the perfect robotics lesson, one that's specifically designed to close that gap between theory and actual hands-on practice. Okay, before we go any further, we got to nail down a core concept here: physical AI. This isn't your typical AI that just crunches data in the cloud. Nope. We're talking about AI systems that can actually see and think and physically interact with the world around them. Basically, they're the brains inside a modern robot. The solution we're talking about is a framework that actually came out of an event called a textbook hackathon. Yeah, you heard that right. The whole idea is to create educational content with the same kind of energy and collaborative spirit you'd find at a hackathon, which makes it super dynamic and intensely hands-on.
And this framework starts with a really clear mission. Before you write a single line of code or plan any part of a lesson, you have to nail down these three things. What's the project? Who is it for? And what's the ultimate goal? Every single step after this is driven by that purpose.
All right, so now for the how-to part. This is the core recipe for a fantastic robotics lesson, and it's built around 4 essential ingredients for deep engagement and, real understanding.
The recipe itself is actually super simple, but man, is it powerful. First, you set the stage with a clear introduction. Second, you make it real with actual examples or maybe some cool simulations. Third, and this part is absolutely crucial, you get students doing something interactive. And finally, you connect it all back to the real world, showing them the key takeaways and how they can actually use this stuff.
So you can see how this framework is just built for a dynamic, hands-on environment. It's really a fundamental shift in how we approach teaching this kind of material.
And here's the perfect way to see that shift. On the left, you've got the old way, the traditional lecture. It's passive, super focused on theory, lots of abstract concepts, and you don't get to apply what you learn for ages. But on the right, you have this hackathon-based learning. It is all about active creation, focusing on building, tackling concrete problems, and applying what you learn right away. That's the huge shift, from learning about something to truly learning how to do it.
But the goal here is so much bigger than just teaching technical skills. The real payoff, the big win, is that we're cultivating a whole new generation of innovators who can creatively solve complex, real-world problems.
And the skills students walk away with are just incredibly valuable. We're talking hands-on experience with industry-standard tools like ROS2, that's the robot operating system, by the way, as well as digital twins and humanoid control. But honestly, the most important thing is they leave with practical, battle-tested problem-solving abilities.
And this entire framework is guided by these 3 simple words. It's not about dumbing down complex topics, not at all. It's about making them accessible and genuinely exciting. Because that's how you spark a lifelong passion, right? So let's end with one final thought. This model is, without a doubt, incredibly effective for teaching robotics. But what does it tell us about how we learn everything else? If this is the blueprint for building the next generation of robot builders, maybe, just maybe, it's also a blueprint for how we should all be learning in the 21st century.